Good evening. Today we have Mr. K. Srinivasan, founder and chairman of Prime Point Foundation, based in Chennai. Let's welcome him. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are
How are you,
you?
sir? I'm doing good, sir. Thank you very
Fine.
much. Sir, thank you so much for accepting to be with us. Today is a special day. You're the 75th guest. And the format of this expert talks with Hari is it has three segments where we start with the early part of your career and then the theme which we are focused on need of youth in politics. Then the third segment has a couple of lighter questions which are more of surprise elements. So we'll start with the first one, sir. First segment focuses on your early part of your career. You were a staunch banker, and then now you're into then PR and all those areas. So we'll start with the early days, sir. Over to you, sir.
I was after my college days, I joined Indian Bank. Then I joined the Corporation Bank as a probationary officer. Then I left the corporate. I was heading I created the corporate communication department at Corporation Bank at Delhi, and I was also the liaison officer for on behalf of the bank to the parliament and parliament functions. So I started getting an interest. I also got the training in parliament functions. So it gave me a lot of interest in those days. I am talking about 1988, 93, those days. 98, I left Corporation Bank on a VRS scheme, even before the VRS scheme or Golden Handshake was announced, so that I had my passion for branding, public relation, communication, teaching of journalism. So I moved from banking. I moved to communication area, where I was spending more time on the handling the clients on branding, public relations. Even I started teaching journalism and communication in the universities, even in Symbiosis and even Anna University, even IIT, everywhere for management students. Then later, in the early 2000, I had I was in the early 2000, I was a communication advisor to Anna University. At that time, I had the acquaintance with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who joined there as a professor after he retired from the government of India, a scientific advisor to Prime Minister at those time, early 2000. And I had the privilege of issuing a press release also on behalf of the Anna University of his joining. Later, he was nominated for the President of India post by both the BJP and Congress together. So I had the privilege of issuing a press note about his acceptance to be the presidential candidate. At the time, I had a lot of interactions with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam even before he became the President of India. And that was the transition period. At the time, even I started the India Vision Group, along with Yahoo Group, along with Dr. Y.S. Rajan, who is the co-author of the book India 2020. Only both of Dr. Kalam and Rajan only wrote the book. So that gave me a lot of interest in this India Vision, and we started the Action 2020. Then he became the president. Then at the time also he started giving me a suggestion that how the communication should be, and on his suggestion, in 2006, I started under Prime Point Foundation an e-magazine, a digital e-magazine called Presence. And even till date, it has published 160 monthly editions, digital only, and it is not in a print form. It is only in the digital form. It is available only on the site corpesign.com. And the very eminent team is there as editorial team. Former general manager of IDBI Bank, Susan Koshi, was heading the corporate communication department. She is now the editor-in-chief. Then we have eminent academicians, even cyber experts, cyber law experts, senior journalists are there as members of the editorial board. That is how the journey of from my banking career to a journalist. That journalism has got 5 initiatives also.
Thank you very much, sir. In this journey, what were the challenges you faced during your transition? How did you overcome it? Any lessons that could be shared, sir?
The challenges will be there. You leave a banking job, a lucrative banking job, take up a new role, new avatar. At the time when everybody for communication, it was in the early stage. That is in '98, after the liberalization, the communication became a very important aspect for the corporates and everywhere. Even my guru is Mr. S. Narendra, who was the prime minister's advisor at that time. And even in those early 90s. And in the 93 or so, we started a public sector PR forum in Tamil Nadu. I was the founder secretary. So that was the transition of communication from banking and to communication. Somewhere you may have to learn a new thing, the new technology, the communication. Now the communication from the communication, even for the past 20 years, when I'm handling the communication in every that I'm seeing why 30 years, more than 30 years, I'm seeing the emergence of communication. The communication from the ordinary, from Doordarshan and All India Radio days, today we are having now you are broadcasting an interview of your own. Now today, every person has become a journalist. So this is the communication has taken a lot of new shape, new avatar, and new challenges. So we may have to learn with that. We have to, like the people are telling now, you have to learn to live with the corona. You may have to learn to live with a new age communication also. There is no point in blaming the communication.
Thank you, sir. Now we move on to the next segment, where we'll start with your interest in politics. How did it develop? And who are your mentors? Where did you get the inspiration from? And then after reaching a level, how did that unfold to a stage where you started helping people, especially youth, in equipping themselves to be in politics? This is the area we're going to touch. So we'll start with your interest in politics. How did it emerge, sir?
As I told you, I was in Delhi for 5 years in the bank. And I was heading the corporate, I was creating a corporate communication department there. At the time, I had a lot of opportunity to interact with the bureaucracy as well as the political leaders. Even I was the liaison officer for Parliament. How the Parliament functions. Even I have undergone a training program. What the MPs, the new MPs used to undergo. That is the type of for the liaison officers of the Parliament. They used to give a training program. So I had undergone a training program in the Parliament House itself with the eminent parliamentarians. Even Indrajit had taken a classes for me. So that created an interest in politics and the democracy. It's such a wonderful. Even sometime when I used to have an interaction with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he used to always say that people are not showing interest in good politics. He used to say political politics and development politics. Political politics must be 30% and development politics must be 70%. That he used to say always. That means a politics, when the people enter into politics, they think of themselves only. They don't think of, many of them, they don't think of developments and other things. That's what many people have an image. That's what we used to have a lot of discussions and other things. There is no mentor like anything because I learned from the very many people. As I told you, the e-magazine started in 2006. I had 5 initiatives. The first initiative is the Educational Loan Task Force, where we have been creating an awareness for educational loan among the students and parents. Second initiative is Sansad Ratna Awards. And the Sansad Ratna Awards was started only on the advice of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. That is at the end of 14th Lok Sabha and on the last day in the valedictory address. And then Speaker Somnath Chatterjee, now he is no more, one of the wonderful parliamentarian. He was the speaker then. Practically, he was literally he was weeping on the last day. but he was telling that the parliament, many members have not been behaving well and other things. At that time, Dr. Abdul Kalam and myself, we had a discussion, and he was telling why we must look only at the negative side. There may be people, there may be people who may be not behaving well in the parliament. But at the same time, there may be a large number of people who may be performing well, but they are not coming out. The person who is probably you are shouting, he gets highlighted in the media. There are people who are good boys, the first row boys in the classrooms, but he is not getting highlighted. So only the people who make noise get highlighted. So there may be, we can identify. That was the time in 2009 he was telling me. Then I started searching for the parliamentary data. Fortunately, I could get the data from PRS India. They have been maintaining a data of every parliamentarian. Even now, there's a very wonderful organization, PRS India. They have been maintaining a fantastic data about every parliamentarian, what they speak, the subjects and everything. Then in 2009, at the end of 14th Lok Sabha, I started getting it and I had a discussion. We laid hands on the very good parliamentarians, and who were all silently. In fact, I can share with you Anand Rao Adisal, he was a Shiva Sena MP from Maharashtra then. He stood first with a large number of points. And in the parliament, there are three types of function. One is in the participation of debates. Number two is private member bills. And third one is raising questions. On all the three functions, he was topping, and I called him up. By the time the parliament was over and the election commission was about to announce the date, they were all busy with the preparation of the next election. I called him, and many times he said, "Sir, can we talk after half an hour?" It was about midnight when I called him up. He said, and I told him all the data. He said, am I the first person? They themselves were not aware that they are the people who have achieved a lot. Then the second is Karvendan. At the time, he was a pioneer MP. He was close to him, and he was next in the All India level, Tamil Nadu MP, Dr. Karvendan. Fantastic person. When I called them up, and they expressed surprise that they were not knowing about all these things. They have performed well. Oh, then I also informed Dr. Abdul Kalam about this, because how the data is available, but they were not aware of it. Then at that time in March 2006, we wrote a cover story on the parliament performance and highlighting all the performing MPs. We took an interview over telephone and made a podcast of them. Even Dr. Kalam gave a interview for that magazine in March 2006. That was the beginning how we showed an interest on the good parliamentarians. In 2010, he suggested that the 15th Lok Sabha was started. Then he said we can have a program, offline program itself. Offline program means that we can invite the best performing parliamentarians and honor them. That's how we started in 2000 May. We invited Mr. Ansraj Ahir. Then he was in the Chandrapur MP from Maharashtra, top, and then our SS Ramasubbu from Tirunelveli MP. He was also in the 15th Lok Sabha. He was one of the outstanding MPs. Both we invited them in a small audience of 50 people before, 50, 60 people, with the eminent people around. Even our former Chief Election Commissioners, T.S. Krishnamurthy and N. Gopal Swamy were there. And happily, Abdul Kalam inaugurated that award ceremony over telephone. He inaugurated. He gave a lecture from Delhi over telephone, which was again put in the audio stream. And it was such an excellent, but it was a big crowd was it. But fortunately, what has happened, the media, Times of India and others, they made it national. That gave a big boost for us. And then the people media also started analyzing the performance of parliamentarians can be analyzed, can be assessed. There are methods. Instead of talking only about the negative aspect, there are certain avenues for talking about that. That is how the initiation. Then slowly, from next year onwards, IIT also became a partner with us, and up to ninth edition, we had an IIT as a partner. Every function used to be held in IIT in a grand manner, and even 6 people, 7 people, every area we had a lot of things. And we had a jury committee of eminent persons, those who had in the previous Lok Sabha, those who have done extraordinarily well. We made them as a jury committee. Now, in the 10th edition was held in Rajbhavan, in the Darbar Hall. When we went to invite the Honorable Governor as a chief guest, he was quite interested to know about that. Then he said we can have the 10th anniversary of the Samsad Ratna in January 2019. And we had around 10 MPs across the nation. They came and received the awards for the 16th Lok Sabha. That's how this, it created a lot of awareness, even among the politicians. When we are talking about the negative side of the politician, there are certain positive side of the politicians also. Then the 11th Lok Sabha, now because of Corona, we are not able to. Actually, July 29th, we were supposed to have it. We had booked in Delhi Constitution Club. But because of Corona, then we had to cancel that. Now that the jury committee had, we have an eminent jury committee also. Arjun Ram Meghwal, Honorable Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, the chairman. He himself is the Sansad Maharatna of 15th Lok Sabha. That is, he is an outstanding, all-round outstanding performer. Then Premachandran, N.K. Premachandran. N.K. Premachandran is an outstanding debater. Even now, he is a current MP also. Last Lok Sabha also, he is outstanding debater. He is one of the jury committee members. Srirangappa Bharnai, Shiva Sena MP. He is also a wonderful MP. He is a Sansad Maharatna of 16th Lok Sabha. All the three are the jury committee members. Now we had, last month, we had released the names of the awardees of the 11th edition. But 11th edition, when we are going to have the function to hand over the awards, it's yet to be decided because of the Corona. Now, only after the government release all the lockdown and other things, we may have to plan everything. Then after the Samsad Ratna, we thought that we have, so far in the 11 editions or 11 awards, we have 74 parliamentarians or 74 awards we have given so far. All are parliamentarians across the nation, from Jharkhand to Himachal Pradesh to Tamil Nadu and Kerala, that type of a thing. But at least it has created. And because we have been giving it for Lok Sabha members, then there was a request from Rajya Sabha members also. Why are you confining only to Lok Sabha? Why are you not giving it to Rajya Sabha for the sitting MPs? Because there are certain problems where there we found it, because their terms are, uncertain terms, 6 years, and every time they change and all. Now from the 11th edition onwards, we have also found a method to honor the Rajya Sabha MPs. This time we have given Rajya Sabha. There is a demand from Rajya Sabha MPs themselves that we must give it, because the politicians also, performing politicians also, they need a recognition. They want somebody to pat on their back, because we have been seeing only the negative side. Media is projecting only the negative side of the parliamentarians. At the same time, in my opinion, more than 40 to 50% of the parliamentarians are doing a very good job. But unfortunately, we always have some sort of a wrong notion about them, and we are thinking very bad about all these things. But unless you go nearer to them, unless you ask them what they are doing it, really you will get surprised on it. Because we have a very eminent performing parliamentarians, we thought why we should not channelize it to the younger generation. That's why we started in 2018 Next Gen Political Leaders. Next Gen Political Leaders, NGPL, is another initiative, the third initiative of the e-magazine, where we get all the people from the across the nation, young political aspirants and young leaders. They are all joining. And we have been conducting recently, after Corona lockdown and other thing, we conducted an online workshop. 25 young leaders participated across the nation from different political parties. And the Honorable Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, T. Meghwal, inaugurated it. T.S. Krishnamurthy, former Chief Election Commissioner, also shared his views. And very eminent MPs and the eminent MLAs and even from foreign country also we invited them to share their views. Now this is there is an opportunity for youngsters, that there is a politics, and the different type of youngsters are here today. They are having a keen interest on politics also, to do something great. The fourth initiative that I will come back again. The fourth initiative is Digital Security Association of India, to create an awareness about security. And the fifth initiative is Digital Journalist Association of India, where we are trying to create a journalism. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. It started off with one, and then it branched out to 5 areas, and all much needed areas you have touched already. And I remember during our conversation, sir, you had mentioned about bringing podcast first time in India and things like that. Can you elaborate on that? During the internet period, when the internet came first, and then the podcast, you are way ahead of time when you introduced few areas, certain initiatives, which are now a lot of us are following that. So you are the one who introduced. Can you elaborate on that, sir?
No, I did not introduce podcast, but in fact, the India had the internet, commercial internet came in 1995, 15th August 1995, the day on which the internet was made open to commercial level by VSNL, Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited. In fact, at that time, I was in the bank and I was the secretary for the public sector PR forum, and I was having a lot of public sector chief also were with me in that time. So I was there present in the VSNL. We had an event also jointly with VSNL, also was a member of our group. Then they had invited all of us for the launch. Then we were all surprised and how the internet was working, how we were able to get the data. These are all very, like small young kids. We were all looking for the looking at the internet, the way in which the search was being made. Earlier, the internet was the email were confined to education only, Airnet only. Even IIT had the Airnet, but it was confined to academicians like IITians and educational people, not like open and TCP/IP, and it was not there. And slowly at that time, if you remember, there was a craze for getting a modem connections with the BSNL because it was limited, and the speed was 18 kbps. Remember, kbps, kilobytes per second, 18 kbps modem.
Wow.
Wonderful. 18 kbps. Today, we are operating with minimum home level. We are operating with 100 mbps. And in the US and all, we are having even in our own thing, 1 terabyte also we are using speed. Now, how that it has undergone a change, the technology has undergone a change. And at that time, I had conducted in 2000 also, I had conducted 2000, and 5 years after the internet. At the time, jointly with Madras Union of Journalists, I had conducted one program at Hotel Palm Grove. How the internet is going to change the media. And many people were laughing at me. And what is that internet? How the internet with 18 kbps speed, very small, and at the time www was defined as World Wide Wait, because you can't download any site. For at least when you download a site, if you want to put any site, then that site, even the Google was not there, Yahoo was not there at that time. Yahoo also came, Yahoo groups and all at that time. Earlier, in 98, I started onelist.com or those Yahoo group. Yahoo group came later. The groups, discussion groups, I started in 98 itself. We brought across the globe. And how the internet is going to change. Many people were laughing. Is there with the print media and television media growth, internet, is it going to change the world? That technology, in 2005 or 6, the podcast came. The concept of podcast came. I was one of the earliest persons to do the podcasts. And the podcasts became quite popular. And only very few people in India were doing the podcast. And even I had conducted a podcast on very major, significant issues. Even one of the podcasts which I did it was on Ram Setu issue. At the time, it was very as a nascent stage and it was not known. That Ram Setu, my podcast was it became it was shared through email and others, and with so many people. That is the facts behind the Ram Setu issue, how the controversy became. All these things were there. So the podcasts became quite popular. Then now the podcasts emerged in a different form. Even now podcasts are becoming popular only. Now there is there is a craze for podcasts. Now the podcast emerged in a different form. Now this is also a podcast. Another what we are having a discussion also is another podcast. Earlier we were doing it in audio. Now we are doing it in a live stream with video. These are all the technology is growing very fast, and we need to keep ourselves updated with the technology. Once when we need keep ourselves updated with the technology, definitely there is going to be a great advantage for the society.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, what's your opinion on youth entering politics, and what are the areas they should actually equip themselves? First, of course, is a passion to serve the country. That part is there. But then, in order to be a responsible politician, what are the areas they have to focus on?
Today, everywhere there is a training program and a lot of teaching courses, television courses are there for everything, for management, corporate management, for banking, for financial services. So many things are there. Today, politics is a very important thing world over. Without politics, we don't do anything. Once when I was addressing the IIT students some years, 4 years ago, I was asking them how do they view about politicians. At the time, they were all telling, they were giving all the negative opinion in a different and very bad scale. They were all. Then how do they rate about IIT? Then they said that IIT was the best and other thing. They were having the highest level of rating. Then I asked them, how many of you, how the IIT was formed? Anybody knew the history? Nobody knew that. But they were all talking about the IIT. Then I told them, explained to them, IIT was formed out of a vision of two great people. One is Kamaraj, then Chief Minister, and C. Subramaniam, then Education Minister. Then Education Minister C. Subramaniam thought that we must have some technological institute at that time, immediately after the independence. He discussed with Kamaraj, then Chief Minister. Kamaraj agreed because Kamaraj was a great person who gave a priority for good education. Both of them went to Jawaharlal Nehru and then literally fought with them, and they gave more than 600 acres of land to central government. At the time, they had already acquired these lands, 5,000 acres they had acquired in Taramani at the time. For what we were, then out of that 600 acres they gave. Then Jawaharlal Nehru immediately allotted to Chennai. So this vision comes many of time. A good politician or a bad politician, the country runs on politicians. Even today, yesterday they have released the education loan policy. Some people may say that it's good, some people may say good. That I am not going into that. But in my opinion, new education policy is damn good, and it is going to, after 34 years, now we are going to change. Now, who took the decision? It is the political decision. There must be a political decision. There must be only politician can do that. When India waged war against Pakistan, who took a decision? The Prime Minister took a decision, the political decision. Even when Pokhran was, when we blasted in the Pokhran 2 or Pokhran 1, who took the decision? Either Indira Gandhi or Vajpayee, both took the decision. That's everywhere. Any good thing or bad thing, you get only from a political decisions. Then in that case, if there are good politicians are there in the power center, then good decisions will come. If there are bad politicians, bad decisions will come. That is the thumb rule. Then what happens? People always try to ridicule politics. That's always, I do not agree. Politician means that maybe bad politicians are there, no doubt. Everywhere it is not there. We have a corrupt bureaucrats, we have a corrupt teachers, we have the corrupt private sector executives. The corruption is everybody is coming from the society. After all, they are not the people who are born from the heaven. So they are also part of the society. The corruption is there, the bad things are there. Every domain, everywhere, where there are good people and bad people. We can't generalize. We should not say the entire this particular group of professionals is bad. This particular people we blame doctors, but there are quite a lot of doctors are there who are all working day in and out to save the people. We have lawyers, we have judges. There are good people and bad people. Same way politicians also, good politicians and bad politicians. It is the same. The percentage is same, but we have a tendency to, as a fashion, I don't like politics. That some accent also, they will change it to so extraordinary accent. They will say, I don't like politics. That type of a politics. What is that politics? If you don't like, then the entire country is ruled by politics. Then we need to pray that we need a good politicians. How the politicians will come? We say it is a dirty. We immediately call it as a dirty. It is a shakadai, or we call it as a kuvam. Then if it is there, then we are trying to give an impression among the youngsters that politicians are bad, political system is bad. Where do you want to go? I want to go to America. I want to become an engineer. I want to become a medical. So we need, even once Abdul Kalam used to say, he used to ask the students, how many of you want to become doctors? Some people will raise. How many of you want to become engineers? Some people will raise. How many of you want to become chartered accountant? How many of you want to become a politician? Nobody will raise. So this is not a good tendency. In fact, we need to create an interest to become otherwise what will happen? There is no point in blaming the political system, because we don't encourage. We encourage only, we discourage people, we discourage youngsters. That is why we started the NGPL, Next Gen Political Leaders, so that we try to create, there is no institute in India, excepting one casual thing, to train the budding politicians. And the political parties also, they don't care. Because for them also, that is giving them a knowledge about our constitution, about our Panchayati Raj, about the governance. Nobody gives, no political party gives a training program like corporates. Then they recruit youngsters, they recruit the youngsters for their political philosophy, or if they want make them to make a fight on the road, dharna, these, that, or pelting stones. This type of a thing only they are being used. So the people also get scared about the politics. So the politics, in my opinion, the politics, even in the school level itself, the politics should be given. The politics, a good type of politics should be given. The student should get a better idea about the politics. So that is why the politicians, we are blaming the politicians. There are I have seen quite a lot of politicians. Quite a lot of politicians. I have been moving with them. They go and they work, and they take it up the matters with the ministers. They take up the matter with the prime minister or chief minister, get the things done. But we immediately we get prejudiced, and it is after all we are not, as a citizen, are we responsible? Are we behaving in a responsible manner? And very unfortunately, sadly, the educated people do not go for voting. This is the voting right was with a great difficulty. Our ancestors, our previous generation got a freedom for us. And it is the greatest right that we have, the wonderful right. But how many people, the educated people, go for, no, sir, if I go there and the bad politics, then why are you giving a cynical? You go and vote for somebody, whomsoever you feel like, in a democratic process. You can't change the democratic system because it's a constitution based. India is a constitution based. Most of the time, I used to say only educated people, only the intellectuals behave in a foolish manner. The so-called the foolish people behave in an intellectual manner during the elections. They change the government. Unknowingly or knowingly, I have to agree that the uneducated people, they only keep the democracy up. The intellectual, they only they are become cynical. They don't vote. Even now, I am in T Nagar, in the booth where I have to vote. Every year, I have been seeing only 30 to 35% polling happens. All are educated people. All are well maintained people. Why it happens? We don't take a responsibility on the democracy, but we only blame them. What I feel is that the youngsters should come into politics. Educated people should come into politics. Then only it can be changed. It can be cleaned. If youngsters don't come into politics, then what will happen? Then it will be only a gutter. Only pigs will go to the gutter. We have to make it, the gutter has to be removed. It should be made as a Ganga, so that everyone should go and they have a dip on that. Over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. The main area of people getting into this and then understanding what is politics, and then also once we have the proper skill set developed, are there any mentorship or internship which is available once a person is interested, sir?
No, practically in India there is no. In Western countries it is there. In Europe and all, in London, it is there. There is a program. They select the people, and by going just like we recruit for corporates employees. The political parties in UK, they recruit people for their political leadership. They give a training. But in India, we don't have such a system. There is no recruitment policy for political workers or political leaders. And even if you recruit or if somebody joins, there is no induction program or there is no program. And probably they will talk about their policies, but they will not talk about the constitution. They will not talk about the national requirements. But it is a very sad. That is why we started the NGPL in a humble manner. We should have a more number of hundreds and thousands of NGPL should come, and we are only the initiators. And what we can do is we can do only a starting point. Because we have our good MLAs, MPs, good parliamentarian. We ask them to share their views, and they are too. I am amazed by the way in which they share some of the MPs and MLAs, irrespective of their political affiliation, irrespective of the audience. Audience is even their political opponents will be there, but they give them a lot of tips to become a good politicians. There are quite a lot of politicians. I have a lot of respects for them. Even Bhardhari Madhav from Odisha, he is the 6th time MP. What a fantastic person, wonderful person. Even our Premachandran, TK Premachandran from Kerala, he is RSP. RSP is one of the left parties, and he is not a guy. He is in the opposition. What a fantastic the way in which he presents his during his debate, the way in which he analyzes. Even the Prime Minister used to listen to him very keenly. There are quite a lot of amazing people are there in this current parliament. And the youngsters also, a lot of youngsters also now recently in this, a lot of educated people this time have come. I don't know, by default it has come. Now by design it has come. By default it has come. Some of them are only from the, even Supriya Sule. Hats of day. She has been maintaining her supremacy. That is, she is the number one in last Lok Sabha, 16th Lok Sabha, 17th Lok Sabha, and even in 15th Lok Sabha also she was maintaining her. But she is coming from a political family, Sharad Pawar's daughter. But there are people who get trained and they are performing very well, even the nurturing of constituencies. Maybe there may be politically, everybody will talk about the controversies and other thing. I don't go into these controversies. If you enter into a public domain, there should be a controversy. And there are people who may not like them. That I'm not going into that. I go only by their performance, what they do. That is fantastic. There are quite a lot of people who are in that thing. But more number of people should come. Now, the interest is slowly, I think they are getting created, but I don't know, that is not sufficient. Over to you.
When it comes to the mentorship and the internship part you have mentioned, like how it's developed and it is maintained in UK. Say, for example, a person who wants to take up political side and he wants to be a politician. and what are the areas where he could at least get some sort of advice? Like one is NGPL, which you mentioned. Are there any other forums which you see already being conducted in India or in Tamil Nadu, sir?
Pune, MIT is there one institution in Pune that they are also doing some courses. And some of the, to my knowledge, there is then some organizations they do for their political philosophies, not for commonly. Suppose that I don't want to consider it here openly. That is, we must create a political leaders across all parties. It is not for the ruling and opposition only. A person can be BJP oriented, but person can be Congress oriented or communist oriented, but or regional party oriented. Today, regional parties are also emerging as a strong parties because of the failure of national parties in promoting themselves with the regional aspiration. That is another sad part of it. That's only in a political system it happens, and the regional parties are emerging. I don't say it is right or wrong because this is a natural phenomenon. Regional parties have to emerge. The Tamil Nadu, we have a regional parties. Andhra, we have a regional parties. And Kerala, of course, the national parties are there, but with a regional outlook only. This type of a thing, even Maharashtra also regional party is there. So they even Odisha also regional party is there. This type of a thing has to be there, and they are emerging. But there are no institution which gives them a comprehensive. You join here, from there you can go to any other political party. That nobody is there, and we need to have more number of institutions. In NGPL, we are trying to accommodate all the political philosophies, but we ask all the members not to comment on individual policies and other things. But we maintain such a high discipline, and every member is they are all well disciplined on that. I have no worry over that. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We are finished with the second segment. Now we are moving on to the third segment, where I'll give you some imaginary questions and I would like you to answer. I'm giving you a time machine now, and in 2020, you can go back to your college days. And if you could go back to your college days, there are two options. One, what advice the current version of you would give your 20-year-old version. The second one is you can choose any leader you like and tell what are the leadership traits you would learn from him, come back to 2020 and you'll teach to the youth.
No, every time machine, if you go there, actually, every time, according we live according to that time. Whether even 50 years ago, when I was in a small college boy, then at the time we never had even a telephone. I never had even a landline. Also was not there. To talk over telephone itself was a great. Then I cannot go on saying that that time is good, the time is good, because in we may have to accept to be living with that age or the technological growth. But I don't say I don't want to. Every time I try to adjust myself with the technological growth, because every time I don't say that that is good, this is good. Everything is good for that particular age. That is particularly good. For this particular time, this is good. Now, regarding that leaders, I would rather say that having moved with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, I say it's a very, he is a classic example for any young persons who achieve something. Even this month, I am writing an editorial. Even we had recently we conducted a program also. Today, one of the big challenges for the youth is the attitude. And most of the many youngsters, what has happened? I can say many, more than 50-60% of the youngsters, even for the smallest achievement, they suddenly they become it goes into their head, and they become totally become arrogant. And this happens because in 3 or 4 domains: the media, entertainment, IT industry, and the fourth is politics. The four domains are very, very causes concern. Say, for an example, a media, when a person joins, immediately he gets an access with even the highest level of or any powerful people. Because immediately for a young kid, when he gets an access with the highest, the corporate leader or a political leader, that goes into the head. Immediately he thinks that is his permanent. And many times what happens, the reaction is, one is that he gets into the arrogance. Number two is he may not respect the elders, he may not respond to the calls, and it will be a very sad state. That will Another thing, IT industry, because they get the money compared to the PS, so that also goes. Now I don't say all, at least 50 to 60% it is like this. And number and entertainment industry, with probably with one film or sing, immediately when they get a media gets them give them coverage and other thing, that goes into their head, they are not able to balance. And the fourth one is politics. The worst is politics. The politics, because the moment when a person joins us, even a low level worker, he gets the access to the top leaders. The moment when he gets the leaders access and other thing, he assumes that something he has achieved. And they have achieved, the leaders have achieved out of their own hard work and very long innings. But these fellows, immediately by touching them itself, he assumes. So what happens is there is no proper hand holding or guidance for them. But this phenomena I am seeing in the past 10 years or 15 years, this is a very dangerous. That makes if they are not correcting, then country will be losing a good leaders. Then they get out of it. They get out of race because of their arrogance. Because they will be ignored by their peers and their leaders. And that is what even I am more concerned about that. We are talking about more about the attitude. Even in NGPL, we are giving more focus on the attitude, right attitude. You have to be attitude, that humbleness. The more and more you go up on the ladder, we should become more humble, more simple also. That's what where I have seen Abdul Kalam. I have seen Abdul Kalam before he became the president of India. Abdul Kalam as a person in the Rashtrapati Bhavan, Abdul Kalam out of our Rashtrapati Bhavan, the post. All the three stages, only his costumes only changed. Only his shirts or pants, the way in which he dressed only changed. And as a professor, he was using a very simple dress. And as a president of India, he was using a ceremonial dress in the public places. And as a post president, he was using another simple dress. But his attitude never changed. He was remaining as simple as the way in which he was there. Whether he was the president or not president, he remained very simple with all the people. That is the way we call him as a people president. That's why he lives along. Every time I used to quote only the Abdul Kalam to all the youngsters, remain like him, the simplicity, humility, and the way in which he respects others, in spite of the fact that he was the president of India. So these are the one of the concerns that I really love to have. If at all in the time machine, if I can go back to your first question, I would like to go back and interact again with Abdul Kalam. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Because most of the areas, what you covered is much needed more than ever, the way things are happening. The next question is gratitude section, sir. You can go ahead and thank people who have supported you to be who you are today.
Oh, it is plenty. I can't individualize, because if I individualize, I may forget to mention somebody. At every stage, somebody has given me a hand holding. If not at every level, right from the childhood till yesterday, somebody might have given me the some help. Even you have given a help. When you have given a help when we started a ELTF, you created a logo for us and then you supported us. That logo is still, we are using it. So it is not that I can say one person has done that. So there may be hundreds of people. Everybody has done that, and they love to do that, to give us support. I am grateful to every one of them. I remember every one of them. That's what I said. Probably I don't know whether you remember or not. You created a logo for ELTF.
So the next segment is. I remember, sir. I remember sitting in your office. We created. I remember, sir.
Uh,
Now we move on to the next segment, where you can your message to the world. What is it like you foresee? How do you see another 10 years or another 20 years? How do you see India, especially in politics with youth in it?
I see a bright future for India. Now, India is emerging as a very strong nation, and India is in all respects, and even in technology, even in politics. Now I find that an interest also is coming in politics amongst the youngsters. They want to join, but there is no proper guidance. And the moment when they want to join politics, there may be a resistance from their family members, from their friends. Oh, no, 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 you are an IIT educated person, you are a highly educated person, why do you join dirty, they call it dirty politics, quote and unquote. And they discourage them, and these boys oh, no, 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 I don't want, I will go and work in some company, TCS or Wipro or HCL, they will go and but we need a policy. For policy making, for governance, we need a very good educated boys, and that makes a lot of difference. And really I love to see more number of youngsters joining politics. At the same way, in India we need an innovation also in 10 years. Recently, last month, I wrote a cover story on the innovation also, editorial. In India, 928 multinational organizations, they are engaging 4 lakh technology professionals and for creating products. They all work within India, that they are paying money from the foreign countries. The whole world, the private companies which are engaging in research and development, they spend 40% of their spending only in India. Our boys create a world class products. What we are, even probably the software that you are and we are using now for this conversation also, there may be an Indian brain, but they might have paid 10 rupees and we are purchasing from them for 100 rupees. This is the sad story. Now the innovation has to take place. This is a serious thing for India, and that can happen only when the political will is there. And there must be a more of a ecosystem changes must be there for encouraging innovation, because the foreign products now today, many of the foreign products have got in India. Microsoft, say Google, all are worked with the Indian professionals brain. They pay 1 rupee and they take 100 rupees from us. On we are buying these products, they're made by Indians. Why not we have one world class product? We don't have it today. I'm not talking cynical, because our brain is not small. We have a world class brain, but only thing is we don't know how to use it for ourselves. So these are all the things. We have a lot of potentiality. Unless we learn to use our potentiality, our youngsters are very vibrant. And today, either in politics or in technology or in entertainment or in media, they can do wonders. They can achieve many things. But only thing is they have to be cautious about their attitude to achieve more. They should not get dropped. More than 50% of the people, because of their attitude, they get dropped or slipped from the going up. So that attitude training has to be there. Handholding is to be there. The seniors should give a handholding. With that, I think it is an amazing future is there, and India is going to have going to lead the entire world. Over to you. Over to you. Haribalaji, are you there online? Are you there online?
Yes, sir. Sorry, there was a technical glitch.
Sorry. Huh?
Sorry about that.
Any
So
drop in the
there was a
connection?
technical glitch.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Adapting to new normal. Sorry, sir. So
I don't know. No problem.
thank
No
you
problem.
so much. I've requested for 60 minutes of your time, and you had explained very clearly in a very easy manner for everybody to understand, and also the areas where you're already contributing and where youth are getting benefited so that they can serve the country in a more responsible way. Uh, I'm truly humbled to have you with us on the 75th show, sir. Thank you so much. Any closing remarks from you, sir?
So it is a great honor for me to be on the 75th, your 75th episode. It's a great honor for me. I dedicate it to God, but it is all God bless you for more and more episodes to provide very interesting and useful contents to the society. All the best to you. Thank you very
Thank you.
much for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. That was Srinivasan G from Prime Point Foundation. In lot many ways, he has helped me, guided me, and he is guiding me. And if at all I know a little bit of all this internet and all this kind of activities which I'm doing, it can be even blogging or micro blogging or anything to do with social media. It's his guidance which helped me when I came back from US and Kuwait. When I was it was all new to me and with no much connection here. First time I volunteered in Sansad Ratna, which happened in IIT. That's where I met him, and since then the journey is continuing. And a lot of areas, and many people have got benefited, and are getting benefited. There has been no area where any part of life, whenever it's a peak or a valley, I can call him and ask for advice, and he is always there. It's just not for me, but for many people across the world. I'm really happy that his schedule permitted him to be with us today, and definitely he can be approached if there is any requirement in terms of a mentorship. Piapoint at gmail.com and primepointfoundation.org is his website. Uh, One of the, in life we see many people, and some are directly guiding us, always with us, and there are certain people who are always there, and their guidance indirectly will always continue. In many situations, even when I was not working here and when I was outside India, his guidance has always led me to be who I am today. Thank you.